Hey guys, it's Tony with Backwoods Biker Magazine again. We have been inundated with emails, questions, messages on the subject of wood tramp gears, bush butter. So I'm going to take time to explain this to you here, so hang tight, be right back. Alright guys, welcome back. Let me give you the backstory on bush butter. I grew up in a family that was very outdoor, wilderness, bush oriented. My father grew up in a home that depended on hunting, fishing, and trapping all year round. Before my father, his father did the same thing, and before him, his father did the same thing. Our roots go back to 1736 when our first family members arrived here on the shores of the continent, what is now the USA. It wasn't then, of course. This was before the country was established, but they came from a part of Switzerland called Sutz, S-U-T-Z. My last name is S-U-I-T-S. They hunt, fished, and trapped when they were there, and they learned wilderness living, lived that way for centuries. And when they came here, they brought some of the gear and recipes and things like that that they had learned to use. One of the things that they did was they developed this, I guess the best way to put it is, it was a gear maintenance type of grease. I don't know what it was called back in 1736. I have no idea. When my dad wanted me to go out and get it or put it on something, he said, go get the gear grease. So that's what I grew up using, was called gear grease. And at that time, all through the centuries, the way that this was made was using tallow off of bear, beaver, whatever animals would produce a heavy fat, and it would be mixed with different types of materials, including beeswax and just some other things. And that's what I grew up using. It worked great. It worked well on canvas, on blades, on handles, wood, leather, whatever. But the inherent problem with using something that is made from animal fat is that it can go rancid because of the fat itself, even though it does have beeswax in it. So, you know, we worked to find out what we could do to develop a better stabilized formula, and that's where we came up with bush butter. This is a new formula that we've been using for years, and it has provided us with, you know, success ever since we came up with the formula. So that's kind of the backstory on it. The ingredients in here still include some of the original, including beeswax. But we do have other materials that we put in there, you know, to help stabilize it and help it to emulsify better whenever you're heating up with your hands. So, you know, I've been asked, what do you use it on? Well, there are so many uses. I'm going to put that up on the screen there for you to be able to read. And I'm going to get in a tight shot so you can actually see some of the stuff that I use it on. But you can see what you're reading up there. Man, there's just so many uses to this stuff that it's almost endless. Your imagination is for you. So let me get this shot tight so you can see it, and we'll talk about this some more. All right, here we go. We got this shot all tightened up. This is how it comes. Comes in a nice little satchel with our logo on it. Wood Tramp gear, bush butter. Common gear for the common man at common prices. You know, we try to keep everything cheap here, but whenever you buy one of these, what comes in here are 2 pads of the butter. And, you know, obvious reason why we have been calling this bush butter, because it looks like a pad of butter. And when you buy this, it comes in this waxed parchment paper just to keep them from sticking together, you know, and but you could put it in the pouch all by itself, but that's what that looks like, okay? And then I've got another piece over here somewhere that I've been using, right here, see that? And that's probably been used about 30 or 40 times because it doesn't take a lot. Now, as far as uses, you know, I put that up there, but, you know, you can use it on all kinds of zippers, you know, for gear maintenance, zippers, tent seams, leather, wax canvas, backpack seams, cordage, steel threads, hinges, boot care, glove conditioner, pots and pans. I mean, that's just to name a few of them, but, you know, I just mentioned pots and pans. If you got something like a black iron skillet, this happens to be one that I take out. You know, this is old school for real, but all you do is rub that in there like that. Just get some in there, and when you rub it with your hands, it emulsifies it. See that? And it will prevent it from rusting. Right? And it doesn't hurt that it's on the inside of your pan, because you're going to get your pan hot and you're just going to wipe it out like you would any other time. But it keeps it from rusting, right? I don't so much worry about anything else, you know. I mean, that's all you do for that, you know. And then now it's on your hands. Okay? Now, I do not buff that out when I'm doing a pot and pan, all right, at all. I mentioned leather, or excuse me, canvas. This happens to be a tool roll that came from Battle Box months ago, and somebody was asking, you know, how do you wax canvas? You know, it's pretty simple, but I guess you got to hold your tongue right to be able to get this thing open, because I don't know who tied this, but man, they got crazy with it for sure. Well, let me just see if I can slip that over, just for the sake of time. Yeah, okay, so here's what you got when you open this up, right? It's just a simple tool pouch, but what we did, in order to wax canvas, let me throw it on this side and be able to see a whole lot easier. All you do is, like a coloring crayon, you'll just put it in there, and it'll develop kind of a white color on something that's dark, right? I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm just going to show you, and I just kind of rub it in the hand. But then we take a heat gun, and we heat this up, and it melts down into the canvas, and now you've got a wax canvas pouch. It's very easy to use. You can do that on anything, even these straps. You can do it to the straps. Another thing that I mentioned, let me see here, was some cordage, you know. I've got a piece of 550 paracord here, and all I do with that is I just put it in my hand and I just rub it across like that one time. Why would I do that? Well, I use cordage a lot in areas where rain is going to hit it, moisture is going to hit it. This is going to protect you from the rain and the moisture. It'll bead right off of there. And once it's in there, it's in there. You know, you don't have to do anything else other than that. And you can do it to this kind of cordage. You can do it on bank line, although you know, tarred bank line is pretty good to go as it is. I mean, I do put it on there sometimes just as an added protectant. Shock cord, I put it on shock cord all the time, right? I mentioned backpack seams. Let me show you that. You know, seams on a backpack that are exposed. These aren't too bad right here, but a lot of them are. And what I'll do is we'll just go down in there this whole way. And again, you know, I don't care what it looks like. I want it to function right. I mentioned zippers. Doesn't matter what kind of zipper it is, steel or nylon zippers. You see that there? And all we do is just open it up and just run that on there real easy. Doesn't take a lot. You know, like I said, that's why, you know, I've done, gee, a lot with this. And look at that. So much easier when you do that. You can put it on buckle systems as well, you know, to help them marry up. Easy in and out. Yeah, that was a sticky one before, but now it's easy in and out, you know. You can wax the whole backpack if you want to. And again, all you need to do is make sure that you hit it with a heat gun so it'll emulsify and soak down. I put it on, straps. Even though this is a synthetic strap, I'll put it on leather straps. I put it on everything. I'm just over the years I've learned to use this here. Tool maintenance, all wooden handles. I brought this guy down here. This is the Condor Greenland pattern axe that came in a battle box a few months ago. And I've had a lot of questions about this axe, and I got to tell you, there were things that I had to do with it. It didn't come out super sharp. Had to redo the set the sharpness edge on it. I went ahead and made this protective sleeve for it, and I sanded all the way down. All my wood handles, I sand them down. And then what I do is I treat them with this bush butter by just simply going like this, very, very lightly. And I go around the whole thing. I even did the leather on this. This is why it's just the color it is, okay? And then once you do that, you just rub it in with your hand and let it set for a few hours. You can put it in the sun, let it set overnight, and then buff it out before you use it. You don't want to use it if it feels greasy. You don't want your axe slipping out of your hand. Now, also, obviously the blades, and that'll keep your blade from rusting. This is a 1045 high carbon steel, susceptible to rust if you don't take care of it. And anytime that you use your axe out in the bush, or even just take it out in the bush, humidity can get a hold of it even if you don't use it. But that dude is now treated. Now, I'm talking about leather sheaths also. Here's a sheath that the axe came in. Right? And you just kind of go all over it. You don't have to get crazy with it, because once you start doing this, again, it emulsifies, it breaks down the wax and the oils and everything that's in here and marries them even more. And look at the luster it gives it. It just, you can tell it's just going, give me more, give me more. I do the inside of the strap as well to keep it supple. And you see the snap? See that snap right there? I always put it in the snap. Make it easier to come in and out. Now, on the inside of my sheaths, what I will do is I will open it up as much as I can, get the butter down in there, and just go back and forth on the inside. I don't buff that out. I leave it in there, so when I do put my axe head into the sheath, every time it touches that bush butter, it is learning how to fall in love, okay? So that's pretty good there. All wooden handles. I don't care what kind of wooden handle you got. Tool maintenance, wood handles, knife blades, axe blades, leather sheaths, even my micarta scales, right? I've got a brand new knife right here from Condor that was just sent to us last week. Haven't used it at all. They got a little bit of their little filmy oil on here that, might be good for shipping, but that's it. But I was mentioning micarta scales. This is a micarta scale right here. Now I'll put it on the blade as well, since I got it out. This is another carbon steel knife. And these pivot points that are here, I put it anywhere that there might be a pivot point, sticking point, whatever. And then when I put that knife blade back down in there, it's going to carry it down inside that hinge. Yeah, now here is what it looks like without bush butter. Now let me show you what it does in micarta. Micarta is canvas. It's layered with epoxy and then machined. Okay, so then you just rub it in until it gets warm. Right? There. Now when it starts to take on that rich luster, you know you've done your job. That knife is now 100% protected. Saw blades as well. I got a silky saw right here. And what I do with this is I take it right down along the saw blade. Right? You gotta be careful how you handle these blades like this, because they will bite you. Okay? Does that look pretty? Maybe not, but you know what? It is very protected right now. This is a synthetic handle. I don't mind putting it on synthetic handles. And again, the pivot point here, I want to make sure that that gets a little bit of love. And that's how I put it away. Still got the grease on it, and it'll help you when you're sawing as well, and will extend the life of the blade. I mentioned the tent stakes. Okay, if you're a bushcrafter and you are building tent stakes, you know, a lot of guys will build them and throw them away, just build them and throw away. But if you are moving or you don't want to keep building them, what you can do is you can build your tent stake. Now this one has not been hardened with fire yet, but you can place your finished tent stake inside your charcoal, right, where your coals are nice and hot, and you can char this. Don't let it catch on fire. It chars it, and the hardening process really will extend the life of anything that's wooden. But after I take it out of the fire and smooth it all down, I go ahead and put bush butter all over these stakes to make sure that they last not only a season, but they can last several seasons. You know, just like anything would, though, eventually it is going to dry out to the point where you can't drive it without breaking it. But these can last you a long time if you use them like this, all right? Very, very easy. Weapons maintenance. You know, you can put them on gun stocks, gun barrels, long rifle parts, lower and upper parts, trigger systems, you know, crossbow triggers. I put it on. I brought this out here, but I want to show it to you. This is the Hickory Creek Archery's inline vertical crossbow, and it is not only my favorite, but it's one of the best that's out on the market right here. But you know, you see the bowstring here. Let me turn it over. You know, first of all, I make sure that my bowstrings have bush butter on them. You don't need a lot. Okay, the cam systems. You know, the cams that are here, I make sure that I put them a little bush butter on them as well to help them move out. All it needs is a little touch. And then if you have a crossbow with a trigger system, everything that moves can be assisted with a little bit of bush butter, even the safety. I put it all on there everywhere, and on the knock points, you know, I get them there also. Just a little bit. And just for an added precaution, okay, you see this stock right here? Anything that's metal, I'm putting it on there. If the paint happens to get chipped off, bush butter is going to protect it to keep from rusting. You know, the entire rail system here, I do that as well. I'm just drawing it across like a crayon and then rubbing it in, and the heat of my hands is melting it right down, and that dude's good to go. All right. Arrow fletching, bowstrings I mentioned. If you have a sidearm, your magazines and receivers, even in your long guns, your magazine and receivers, you know, put bush butter on them and they will come out silent smooth for you. Holsters, belts, whatever, ammo belts, personal hygiene. Well, let me go to a couple other ones here, and I don't have any fishing gear out here. Household stuff. You know, if you got shears or knives in your house, look at this. That's all you do with this, man. I mean, this stuff just got so many uses. It's great. You can use it on battery posts, electrical connections, door hinges, springs, latches, drawer slides, wheel bearings, chainsaw blades, anything in your shop like a bench vise, you can use it on there as well. Survival uses, you can use it as a fire extender, fire starter. You know, I brought this little feather stick out here that I made, but I mean, if you're talking about being in a survival situation and you need to have some help starting a fire, all you do is rub this all over your stick that you're using, and then just make some feather sticks out of it. I'm taking this all down because this would go into a bird's nest right here, and it's got the bush butter all on it. I know some of you are saying, hey, we'll start that on fire. Well, yeah, well, you see what would happen if I did. Alright, now all of this can go right inside of a bird's nest. I'd obviously do more than that, but that is going to extend your fire. It's going to aid your fire, burn very, very well. You know, one of the other things that I make sure that I do, I've got it down here, carabiner lubricant. You know, carabiners need a little bit of care as well. You know, you sell that category for fishing gear. Fishing gear, I use it on the gears on the inside of the fishing reel. My rod eyes to help lubricate them, keep them smooth. I even use it on braided lines sometimes. But all the hooks, you know, the bail, I use it for bail grease. Any cork handle that I might have on my fishing rods, I especially do that. And sometimes I also do synthetic handles. One of the other things, you know, I wanted to make mention of, if you have a leather strop bat, you know, this is a strop bat from Tramp gear, and this is the big guy here. And, you know, of course, you've got your compound on one side, but you do, on the smooth side, you do have to put some type of lubricant on it. And instead of using an oil, because there's oils in this as well, I use bush butter, right? And I know somebody's going to ask me about this strop bat. You can go on woodtrampgear.com and check it out. We have 4 different sizes of these, starting at 6 inches and going all the way up to this big guy right here. But man, you know, once I'll go over here first, just do this a few times. You know, a lot of folks that are getting into the outdoor world, bushcrafting, you know, they don't understand the advantage of having a strop bat in your shop and one in your backpack. And it's because you don't want to have to sharpen your knife with a hone every time, because as you do, you take a lot of metal off of it. You're taking resources away from your knife, that knife edge. You know, sometimes you do have to resort to that. But if it's not real bad, you know, you can bring it back to life with a strop bat. So now I'm going to go on the other side. This is the finished side right here. See that? Now that dog will hunt. Bush butter has so many uses. I mean, as I said, as you use it, you'll come up with something else, you know. But my family used it all for outdoors, and, you know, we use it in the house. And again, you know, you're talking about a recipe that goes way, way back, the foundation recipe. You know, 5 years ago, we modified it to make it more stable. But yeah, look at that. Pop those hairs right off. All right, so hang tight. I'll be right back. So I was just told that I needed to demonstrate this on a new knife and some of the personal hygiene first aid applications. So let's talk about the knife first. All right, this is a brand new knife. This came from Quality. Actually, it came through BattleBox. You know, BattleBox is always throwing some great knives out there, and this is one of my favorite. Has come from them, but it's brand new. Never done anything to it. So let's just talk about this. We'll start with the sheath. Okay. Again, Very, very easy. Put it on all the seams, all the threads. You know, threads are susceptible to rot, but if you will treat it right, it won't rot. You know, if you put it on bootlaces, on all your cordage, right? So now we're just going to do this, right? It's in there. And again, it's a sheath, so I'm going to the inside of it. I can't get it all the way down in there, but I do put it at the mouth of the sheath. So every time that knife goes in there, it's getting some love, all right? There that is. Let that dry. You can buff it out. That dude is protected. Now, brand new knife. Again, the blade. I put it right on the blade. All up and down the blade. Any steel blade, whether it is a hand tool, if it's a garden tool, if it is a wilderness style tool, yeah. This happens to be a wooden handle. Now I'm putting it all on there, being careful how I do this so I don't cut myself and have a blooper, right? Alright, so now that's it. That's all you do, man. I got it all over my hands, and before there it is. That's it. That'll be protected for a long time. This stuff lasts a very long time. All right, I got it on my hands. All right. We'll talk about personal hygiene and first aid. You know, cracked skin. Good for a hand conditioner. Actually, good for a hair conditioner. You know, one of the things that I like to do is put it in my old goatee here, right? Mustache. Yeah, right. It really conditions it. Girls, you can put this on your hair. There is a way. I'll tell you how to do this. If you girls want to have an awesome repair conditioner, take this with water and just heat it up. That's all you do. All right. Well, there you have it. That's bush butter. You can get it at www.woodtrampgear.com. It's $12 plus shipping. We try to keep it in stock, but I'll be honest, it's one of the hottest sellers that we have, and it's hard for us to keep up with it. You know, so appreciate you asking the question, and I encourage you to get out there and get it. So until next time, you guys ride free, you live free, and as always, you be safe out there.